Well, hello there. If you're listening, you are hearing the Cinema 9 Pod. If you watch, you'll be seeing us. It is I, Michael Govier, Travis Roy, and Eric Brandstrom. Three guys who make up the Cinema 9 Podcast. It doesn't just have to be guys. It just happens to be that we are guys. And, you know, we love movies. We always have. We've known each other for a long time, and that's kind of how the show came together, you know? We figured, why not? Let's talk about movies. So this is a show about film. Cinema9pod@gmail.com is how you can contact us if you'd like to submit a question or commentary about anything you see or hear. And today's show will be about Eric's selection, 2008, In Bruges. Not Bruges, not Bruges, In Bruges. Travis, I didn't know exactly how to write this one out until I saw it, but I now know it's Bruges, but it's Bruges.
Our first dip into Flemish on the show, I believe.
Oh, really?
I think so.
All right.
Likely.
It's a show first. Yay! Who are the Flemish, by the way?
Belgians?
Oh, I didn't know that. I honestly know little. I realized we'll talk about this. I don't know a lot about Belgian culture or the Belgians themselves.
Oh, I said that like I knew. I don't know that the Flemish. There was a question mark at the end of that for the record.
Oh.
Belgians, I think.
Belgians. Okay, great.
Flemish, I mean, aren't they like Welsh? Like that whole general kind of. Oh God,
Welsh. Isn't that Wales people?
Well, yeah, no. I mean, it's not saying like they're like the Welsh, but I mean, like there's these groups of people in like northwestern Europe.
Battle of Hastings changed things.
There were Saxons, Normans.
Yeah, right. Yeah, King
like
Harold
right?
Harold the Great, and
not my time frame. I'm pretty ignorant.
You guys are smart. All I have is strawberries on a waffle.
Oh, right. Those are nice too.
I love Belgian waffles. In fact, if you had to, is that your number one go-to, Eric? Belgian waffles,
like any
topping
on my waffle or pancake. I don't like chocolate chip pancakes, blueberry pancakes, any fuck shit on my waffles. Just straight the product and syrup.
Wow, I like some whipped cream and some fruit on a Belgian waffle once in a while. I'll do it.
I'm a Greek omelet man. If we're talking breakfast here.
Well, I didn't think we were doing that though. I think we were focusing specifically on waffles. He brought in pancakes, which I would allow, but omelets. Now we're going into a category I don't want to get into. So,
but it's kind of French. It's a French word, right? So we're still staying in Europe.
Omelette.
Omelette. It sounds very French to me.
I always thought the people who took French in high school were weird. I'm like, why are you taking French? When are you going to use French? I thought Spanish was much more applicable, in my opinion.
Well, Spanish to me was significantly easier. I've never the French accent to me is a mystery. Can't do it.
Yeah, we get a lot of the French Canadians as border guards here. So when I come through to Canada to visit, it's so distinct. Their accents are so strong and rich. It's fascinating. Really fascinates me. What's the most fascinating accent? Cinema9pod@gmail.com. Let us know in the emails. Of course, today we'll focus on In Bruges and the main focus of our show, which we will timestamp. We're starting to do timestamps now. We've grown up. We've matured. And I suppose... Yeah. Yes. Look at us. I got to give credit to that one person, whoever it was, who got a little pissy about a lack of timestamps on one particular episode. Got us motivated, Travis, and now we're doing timestamps.
We've come so far in 3 years almost. Timestamps.
This is a show where we focus on timestamps. Does that intrigue any of you? Is anyone interested? Either way, timestamps help, and I appreciate that because we really do start each show with some bullshit. We talk about some of the movies we've watched, we'd like to recommend recently, and sometimes we have a topic. We have floated around that we'd like to talk about our favorites of 2022, which I think we'll do next week. Eric, are you comfortable doing that next week? Are you ready to talk about the best movies of 2022?
I lost my train of thought and started to think about a science fiction movie starring Terrence Stamp called Timestamp. Like, I don't know, like Time Cop meets the Limey. Timestamp, starring Terrence Stamp.
Right.
As himself, traveling back in time to knock off some hits or something. There's something there. There's something there. It's small, but there's something there.
Just work Ron Silver into it and we're all happy.
Okay. Yeah, next week I'm cool for a best of.
As long as, can we get Terrence Stamp to say his big line from the Limey in this one still? Can we reuse the lines?
He'll be like, you tell him I'm fucking coming back in time.
That's right. Oddly enough, too, we've also done the movie Time Bandits, which was a selection of Travis's. And we're actually going to talk about that when we talk about In Bruges, oddly enough.
It was referenced in the film.
It was. I got very excited. I felt more knowledgeable just knowing that because, well, I'll save it for later. But we usually we get into the main event of our weekly episodes about a half hour in. So that's why we do timestamps now. Let you guys know YouTube allows you to put timestamps. It breaks them up into chapters. So you guys can fast forward. If you prefer the opening, then you just play the show. But if you don't like our bullshit in the opening and you want to get to the main focus in the big film of the week for each episode, then we understand. Do what you got to do.
If you want less of us, that's fine. It's fine. Yeah. We can live with that.
I don't know if it's less of us. Maybe it's just a more direct route to people. Really, you know this, Travis, better than anyone. People are attached to certain films. They really are.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. I mean, a lot of times they don't want, especially if they're not a regular listener, they're like, why is this person talking about breakfast? We want to hear about such and such film.
Yeah.
So that's fine. That'll
People
be fine,
totally welcome breakfast talk. So we're glad to have both fans.
I kind of wish we just shift gears and be like, talk about breakfast every episode.
Yeah, I like talking breakfast. I don't eat breakfast, but I do like talking about it. I find it to be a genre of food sessions, of eating sessions that I rather like. A lot of ways to go with breakfast, but like Travis has said before on this episode and many episodes before it. Well, he didn't technically say it on this episode, but you've always had a fear at times that you don't want to shit on any movie too hard because there's always somebody out there who's a diehard fan of every movie. It could be the worst movie that some of us ever thought existed, but to someone else out there or to many others, some movies that are loathed by some are their diehard go-to bread and butters.
Well, clearly, if you listen to the show regularly, I forget that from time to time and then just shit on the movie anyways. But yeah, I mean, generally,
I'm glad you do. I'm glad you do.
I mean, I've definitely checked in on a podcast or two before and been like, oh, they're going to talk about The Road to Wellville or like Blind Fury or like some movie that I love. And then like you're listening to it and you're like, oh, well, this is just an hour and a half of them trashing this movie I like very much. That's not exactly entertaining to me, which sometimes that's what we do. Sometimes that's what we do. So.
What's the best breakfast scene in a movie?
Reservoir Dogs.
Ooh, that's a pretty quick response.
I
was going to say,
but still, I mean, like they're actually eating when he's talking about like a virgin and all that kind of stuff.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
It's memorable.
The first one that came to mind for me was Can't Hardly Wait. I don't know why, but I just know they're having breakfast the next morning. So.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Or knocked up after they have sex the next day. Sure. It's really awkward at the diner. So.
Yeah.
He starts talking about By the way, I saw Katherine Heigl on a television screen last night. Totally random. She's alive and well, folks.
Was it that NyQuil commercial? She had no lines, but it was Katherine Heigl.
A NyQuil commercial?
Yeah, this happened during the whole she was ousted from the community for having a big mouth or whatever. But she was just in a she just woke up and yawned in a NyQuil commercial. And we're talking somebody who's right up there with acting with heavy hitters. NyQuil woke up and yawned. Katherine Heigl.
That was not it. There's a new show on Netflix, or maybe it's newer to me that she's in. Something about Firefly Lane or something like that.
Missed that one. Yeah.
Anyways, I saw her face. She's a little older now, but she looks like she's doing well. So good for you, Katherine Heigl. Good for you.
Keep going, Katie.
Yeah! All right. Well, pound that NyQuil, folks, as you continue to listen to and watch our show. We got a big year coming up. 2023 is going to be our we're going to call it our fourth year? Will it be our fourth year? Because you had 2020, you had 2021. This was 2022, and we're going to go into our fourth year.
We'll go into our fourth year after April. So, yeah, we're finishing our third year. So, it's happening.
We did it. I'm so proud of it.
Empire. It's happening.
Yeah, Cinema 9 Empire. Well, we've had our ups and downs this year. Usually, again, scheduling quirks. It's the holiday season, so usually we try to do the show on Thursdays. And once we settle back into that routine, it'll become consistent again to you all, and then I'm sure another scheduling thing will happen, and we'll change again. But until that day, we try to do the shows on Thursday evenings, and if you want to listen to it anytime, 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. You know how it works. You people listen to podcasts. You watch stuff on YouTube. You know how all the rating systems work and why they matter. I don't think I have to explain it to you. So if you could just participate, we would be eternally grateful.
I mean, it's the end of the year. It's like holiday time. You're doing some shopping. You're trying to organize your life. And you're probably thinking to yourself, what have I done for Cinema 9 podcast lately? Well, what you could do.
Yes.
No.
Exactly. I love it.
All right. Well, and yeah, if you want to give us a little gift, click the 5-star thing. But let's move on.
I don't want to move on. I want to
right,
live
well,
in the moment. Can we live in the moment?
I don't know. Keep on haggling. We'll keep on.
You want to haggle? Let's haggle over breakfast items. All
Honey,
right.
I Shrunk the Kids. Great breakfast scene. Big Cheerio.
Yes.
Oh, the big Cheerio. Yeah.
Good call. That's a good call. Well done. I'll still probably take Reservoir Dogs, but that's number 2.
Yeah.
All right, Travis, let's move into quarantine viewing picks. We used to call them that. We're no longer in quarantine. We just review films. Actually, we just watch stuff, and we'd like to share what we've watched with you recently, and you guys could take it or leave it. So what should we take or leave from you this week, Mr. Roy?
Yeah, I guess we just keep calling it quarantine viewing picks, but
It's a harkening back to the early days. You know?
yeah. Well, honestly, guys, strap in. I got a lot to say here. I watched a lot of fucking movies over the last few days, last week, and I watched a lot of really good movies. To start with, I'm going to give you a warning. You may feel compelled to check back in with Adam Sandler's 8 Crazy Nights. You might say to yourself, it's been 20 years. Perhaps it's not as terrible as I thought. Don't do that to yourself. You deserve better. Don't revisit 8 Crazy Nights.
Oh shit!
Wow. Okay.
I strongly suggested not doing that.
I never saw it. I guess I kind of want to see it now because of what you're saying. So.
It's incredibly bad. I mean, like even by the standards of 2002, it's like, what the fuck? You put that in the movie? It's unreal, just bad. But I watched a lot of good movies, to be honest. But I also I watched every 177 episodes of Golden Girls over the last few months. And I am, of course, now starting Golden Palace, starring the original cast minus B. Arthur, but plus Don Cheadle and Cheech Marin, which is interesting. But man, 177 episodes of gold in Girls. I mean, it's really just great show. I mean, it's so fucking, it's still so good. It's really, there's a reason why people still watch it, and god damn it, it's still a really good show. I checked in on a lot of the big heavy hitters of the last year and that kind of stuff. I just finished The Woman King just now and certainly enjoyed it. I thought it took a little while to get off the ground, and I thought like it could have used some more Viola Davis for being heavily focused on her in the advertising and whatnot. I mean, she is the main character, but there's a lot of other characters that you spend more time with than you probably want to, but it's certainly worth checking out. I checked out Ticket to Paradise, the new Clooney and Roberts vehicle. Dude, if you have any love or affection for those actors, or if you like the romantic comedies of the 90s and early 2000s, I mean, it's a hearkening back to that for sure, to reuse that phrase. I loved it. Was it a surprise in any way? No. Was it formulaic? Yeah, but I just loved it.
What's it on?
That is on Peacock right now. So check that out. Checked out the Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Did you guys watch that? Eric,
Loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too. I loved it too. It was beautiful.
It
was gorgeous. And I feel like there's so much attention given to Guillermo del Toro, the storyteller Guillermo del Toro, the horror master, the writer, etc. But anti-fascist also. I mean, the man is the anti-fascist of as far as filmmakers go of this time. Almost everything he does is such a pronounced denunciation of that mindset. I just love it. It was so good. I revisited Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, and I think I loved it even more the second time. It's so fucking great. It's so funny. If you've not seen Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, it's not just a celebration of Nicolas Cage. It is a celebration of cinema, of friendship, of life. I just love it. It's so good.
I finished it. Remember, if you recall, not everyone will, but I watched the first 20 minutes of it a few months back, and then I just had something else to do, so I paused it, and I forgot to go back. But I did go back to it a couple of weeks ago, and I did finish the film. So I would say it's not bad. It's an enjoyable film, and yes, it is really about not Nick Cage. It's really about the passion we have and people, the affinity, the love, the desire that movies inspire and create in so many millions of people across the world in all countries. And it doesn't matter where you're from or what you're into, movies have inspired every part of our population on this planet.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a film, The Unifier. It's a celebration of that as well. It's just a fun movie for me. Speaking of not a fun movie, I watched Emancipation from 2022, the newest film with
Uh-oh.
Will.
Okay.
And if Will Smith gets nominated for an Academy Award for this for Best Actor, I won't be surprised and I won't be mad. This is a better performance than King Richard. It is an incredible performance.
Wow.
It is the hardest watch I think I've had in a long time. It is a grueling watch. I mean, it is like a horror show, a cavalcade of just the worst parts of slavery put on film. Like I show 12 Years a Slave to my students. I'll never be able to show. I'm not going to show Emancipation to high schoolers. It's just too much. I
Wow.
mean, it is brutal. It is just it's an endurance test, and I think everyone should watch it. And I'm probably never going to watch it again.
I'm a little worried Antoine Fuqua would like try to just make it like a thriller and like popcorn it up and cheese it up.
It's not that. It is not like an action movie. I mean, it kind of is, but it is mostly. It's just watching this guy go through fucking hell. Here, watch this guy go through. You know, it reminded me of the Passion of the Christ. Actually,
How's Ben Foster?
Ben Foster is brilliant as always, and steadily getting repeatedly typecast into 19th century villain.
Boy.
I don't want to see that happen to him. I loved him in Hustle, but so he does branch out and do some different kind of stuff. But yeah,
Different villains.
I checked out Bros. You know, this has been a very controversial, divisive movie. Did you watch it too?
No, but this is very controversial. A lot of talk about this film. I can't wait to see. I'm ready. I'm listening.
I mean,
sorry.
People of every I've read reviews from extremely conservative, homophobic people that hated it, and I've read reviews from like LGBT people who fucking hated it, and then vice versa. It seems like there are people on every side that love it and hate it. I loved it. I thought it was so funny. It was so raw, and it was so like. I mean, if you don't like, what's his name? What's the dude's name? I'm blanking on his name.
Oh yeah, that guy.
The guy. I can't think of his name right now because
he's the guy who's the man on the street who does that stuff.
Bill,
Buddy, Eddie,
Bill,
Billy Eichner.
Billy Eichner, thank you. If you don't like Billy Eichner, you're not going to like the movie, so just don't even bother because he's got like a very, like a distinct kind of delivery, and he plays like a bitter guy. But I thought these characters were flawed and funny and believable, and I really, really liked Bros quite a bit. I'm going to strongly recommend that movie.
I want to ask one question about this because this is again in the vein of Judd Apatow giving a platform to somebody who's an up-and-comer, doesn't necessarily have the full clout to make the movie, but it's a personal story, I assume, to Billy Eichner, I would guess. Because
I get the feeling.
Okay. Well, you watch it, I didn't, so that's why I asked. Because we had of course, the Pete movie where the King of Staten Island, that was a personal story for Mr. Pete, what's his face? And then there was even Amy Schumer. That was like a story about her life in a way. And so he's basically what you have now is Apatow's this shepherd for comedians to tell a story now because he has the clout to do that. And I think that's cool. So I'm glad that you said it was good. It makes me want to watch it for sure now. I'll definitely try to move it up my list.
I laughed. I cried. And, I don't think this movie's for everybody. I think a lot of people are going to find this pretty middling, but it hit it right in the head for me. I thought it was great. Okay. I checked out the Banshees of Inisherin. Did you guys watch this? No? Wow. I thought maybe you guys would give it a shot since it's on HBO Max right before we did in Bruges.
I don't have that in Canada.
Well, maybe if you hadn't turned your back on America, you could enjoy the fine films of HBO Max.
Defecto.
You had it all, and you turned your back on it.
Dude, if this gets Best Picture, I'm not going to be mad. I loved it. I loved the Banshees of Inisherin. I thought it was fantastic. I'm not going to say anything about the plot. I recommend going in as blind as you can. I knew nothing about it beyond the actors and writer director. The same of the film In Bruges. But so I would hurry. Yeah, that's why I'm saying it would have been a good idea to watch it. But I definitely would recommend seeing it as quickly as possible before stuff gets spoiled for you, because I think that stuff will, and it's just it's like a lyric. It's really something special. I mean, it's really simple and really profound, and I think it's one of the best films of the year. But lastly, I pulled an Eric this week and watched a movie that I liked so much. I turned around and watched it again 4 days later.
No way.
I never do that. Yeah, I did that.
Shit.
I watched Cyrano from 2021. Did you guys see Cyrano with Peter Dinklage? Did you have any fucking idea that this movie was a musical?
No.
I had no clue that this was a musical. So I sat down and watched Cyrano, and I'm like, started the movie, and it starts. I'm like, what the fuck? It's a musical? And I'm like, oh man, I don't know. And then like what's going on? I'm like, oh god, this is like a White Hamilton thing they're doing here. I think he's battle rapping now. This is not good.
Shit.
And I'm like, and I turned it off, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll give it another shot. And so I started it back up, and then I just fell in love with it, and I fell completely in love with it. The band, The National, did all the music. It's a musical starring Peter Dinklage with music by The National. And when I went back and watched it the second time, I was like, yep, that beginning is still a little weak. That first 10, 20 minutes is kind of weak. But I listened to the soundtrack all week. I've been obsessed with it. I can't stop thinking about it. It is unabashedly earnest, unabashedly romantic, dramatic. It is. I haven't been this emotionally affected by a movie in a few years, actually. I really wish I'd seen it last year. So I could have given it its proper due at the proper time. It was a tremendous bomb. I mean, it made back, I think, 1/10 of its budget or something crazy like that. It was a huge bomb. It's written and directed, or it's written by Dinklage's wife. This is very much a labor of love, but man, I loved it.
This is Joe Wright. I hate all of his movies, so I think that's why I stayed away. All of his movies suck.
I don't agree that all of his movies suck, but I've always found his stuff to be overblown and just overwrought and just over. You know, like I hated Joe Black. I thought Atonement was really good, but it still was a lot. And this is a lot. There's moments of this where it's like I am laughing, and I don't think I'm supposed to be laughing. But all the same, like it's just. I can't like the moments that hit so hard. And Ben Mendelsohn is in this, Mike, and he plays like the foppish like 17th century like done up in white like pancake makeup and all that stuff. And he doesn't quite sing, but he does kind of growl, scream, bark through one song that's really good actually. I loved Cyrano. Check out Cyrano. I wish I'd watched it sooner.
I think it's just okay, there could be a lot of reasons why it bombed, but it's a story that's been told many times. It is an old tale, right? We had the Roxanne from Steve Martin in the 80s. It seems like it gets done every 10 years or so. So I understand that, but I'm definitely more intrigued by what you're saying.
And that's true of so many other stories, right? I mean, you could say that about Frankenstein or Pinocchio, which we just talked about. And like Guillermo del Toro's take on Pinocchio, this is a different take. It's in some ways it's very true to the original. Our friend Deary chiming in with appreciation for Banshees of Inisherin, good band. But it is pretty true, Cyrano, to the original, but it's still very much. I mean, the fucking National. It's very updated. So I loved it. I don't think it's gonna be for everyone, but I love it.
I love it. Blown away. You'll be blown away. Jeff Bridges, Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah. So I watched a lot of good movies this week. You did.
Yeah. And looks like you're ready to go. I think I know some of your favorites of 2022. Oh boy.
Maybe my hand at least once when I said one of the best movies of the year.
Well done. That was a beautiful, beautiful session of sharing. Thank you, Travis.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Brandstrom.
Yeah, real quick. Last night I turned on Pinocchio at like 10. I was kind of like just mildly curious because I was so burnt by Zemeckis' wretched, acerbic trash incarnation that I had absolutely no desire to ever see another adaptation of this ever again. But I hit play because it's Guillermo, and I heard that like the stop motion was superb. I guess they spent like 1,000 days was like the big quote. Took them 1,000 days to make this. So I turned it on and like immediately enraptured. This is like classic Guillermo, Pan's Labyrinth, fairy tale, like a director and writer just so fully, precisely in charge of the story, and above all, that I was fucking blown away. I was dead tired. I was hacking my lungs out. I'm sick again, by the way.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I hear it. Yeah, it's poor bastard. It's awful.
But I could not keep my eyes off of it. Like all the character design is so awesome, man.
Yeah.
And just the ways they go with the story, with all the Mussolini stuff, I did not expect at all. Like these brave, dark turns that were just out of left field, and just such the right way to go for this. Loved it, man. God, it was so good. Stars Born, loved it in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it on HBO. That song. They play that song.
They do.
But I still love the film. I think this is a fantastic movie.
Good. Yeah,
it's really good. Christmas Carol, 1984. I saw George C. Scott's face, and I'm like, let's get this going right now. I always thought this was like, I remember always this being like the definitive, like aside from like the Alistar, whatever the hell the guy's name is, like the definitive version, like the serious definitive take on Dickens' novel.
It was a DiBiase standard back in my youth. Absolutely. Every year DiBiase demanded we watch it. Seriously. He did. He loved George C. Scott. It's weird.
Who doesn't?
That's why I hit play, because he's so good. And he's so good in the role. And I'm sitting there watching it. I think I said out loud, George C. Scott's one of my favorite actors. The movie, like, I don't know if it was made for TV back in 1984, but it feels really cheap. Yeah. Like, remember Scrooge, like when they're putting on that movie? That's what it feels like.
Yes.
Feels
I
like
think they took a note from that.
Like stage C6 or something. Like
America's favorite old fart sitting in front of the fireplace.
Oh, butthead.
Oh, here we go again. But yeah, enjoyable, mostly because of that superb performance by the legendary Titan. More Columbo, of course. Dateline episodes. That wraps it up for me. So, for timing's sake, we can move on to Michael.
Yeah, Ron Rifkin popped in, huh?
You sure as hell did.
Nice beard. He looked like he was a very happening dude back in that period of time. Whenever that episode existed. So good for you,
Ron. Biting insult he gave Seth in Boiler Room. Inexcusable shit or something like that.
Lied again, you unbelievable piece of shit. You lied again, you unbelievable piece of shit.
I'll tell you this right now. No piece of shit is unbelievable to me. I can believe any piece of shit. I really could.
Yeah. What's there not to believe?
From father to son, that's pretty harsh. It's also that Rifkin like flat line delivery. Just he means it. He really means it. You're a like actual piece of shit.
Yeah, he does that little thing with his head, like a little bob. It's weird. It's like not very obvious. I know what you mean. Yeah, I can see
Rifkin.
it.
You ever see The Myth of Fingerprints? He was great in that.
No.
Yeah, he's a good one. Underrated Rifkin.
What are those fingerprints? They look real.
Paul
to me.
Simon reference. Paul Simon. No.
Myth of Fingerprints. Is that a myth? What is it?
All Around the World, The Myth of Fingerprints. It's a song by. Anyway, but it's also a movie. Anyways, all right.
Paul Simon's like almost 80. He's gonna die eventually.
Well, everyone's gonna die eventually, Mike. We've been through your, thanophobia.
Yeah, it's not getting any easier out there, folks. But
all right,
when you guys die, I'm gonna be very sad. It's gonna be a sad day for me.
Thanks, Mike. I like that you assume that we'll die before you, but okay.
No, I actually said it knowing that I know I'll die first. I'm very confident it'll be me. So I've
5-star review on Apple.
Hey guys, you want to talk more?
Click that like button and subscribe.
Yeah, it's like he says in Dogma. So Jesus told the 14th apostle, 13th apostle, the Chris Rock plays. When his number was going to be up, took all the flavor out of the last remaining years. It really was. I definitely would rather not know. I just want to die. Boom. There you go, folks. Hey, Cinema Nine Podcast. I just want to die.
Look, watch movies.
I've got a big reveal here, folks. This is a big one. This is one of the bigger movies that needs to be discussed, and I finally saw it. I've never saw this film, but with all the hubbub brewing about Avatar 2, Way of Water, I finally sat down and watched Avatar for the first time in my life. I was one of the last few, apparently. I mean, it was a huge movie, right? It topped Titanic as the biggest grossing movie ever at that point in time.
Still is, I think.
Endgame, I think, snuck past it, but it was. Yeah, it made a shitload of money.
They re-released it back in theaters in advance of Avatar 2, and I think it snuck back in, but I'm not positive.
I also, read that they released it in China again a few years ago, and some people went and saw it. So either way, I never saw Avatar, and I I wish I had seen it when it came out. That's my big regret. That's what stands. Yeah, that's what stands out to me most.
I wish I'd seen Avatar sooner.
Yes, his final words were,
"Love her as I love Avatar."
Very good.
And
That's
there
good.
will
You
be
caught that one.
Jimmy Brooks.
I just
Or
wish I'd seen it when it
Cameron.
came out. I wish James Cameron. I wish I'd seen it when it came out because it still looks good. It looks like a video game. That kind of bothered me, but I'm like, this is a video game. I feel like I'm watching a video game now because video games look this good. And when it came out in 2009, I could see how it would have really blown people's minds, but it doesn't look terrible at all. It still looks good, but it's a green screen world, it's a CGI world they created. So I never felt like I saw any holes or like, oh, that's obvious. Like, it just looks like a video game because that's what a video game is. It's already plastered on your screen as a world and you accept that. And there are no cutting and pasting. It's already generated in that way. So my point being is that, what's the deal with this guy? Sam Worthington. Sam Worthington, is he good? Yeah. Is he okay? Is he bad? I don't understand this guy.
He's like the Donald Gleason of the 2000s. Like, they gave him a shot. They gave him a bunch of properties, and people were like, who cares?
Yeah, that's right. Because the same year he was in the Terminator thing with Christian Bale.
Terminal Salvation, Avatar. People are like, who's this now? Yeah.
But he's in the sequel, right? In the new one that's out. He's I guess. Spoiler alert. So, you haven't seen the original.
I keep on like, am I gonna watch the new one? Probably. Am I gonna see it in theaters? God damn it, probably.
Yeah, right. Should probably see it at the theater. I probably should.
I'm not in any rush. I mean, my expectation is that it's gonna, and we'll see how well this statement ages. But my expectation is that it's gonna be a dazzling feast for the eyes and just utterly dull, like derivative story.
Is that how you felt about the first one?
Well, yeah.
Oh, duh.
That's exactly how I felt about the first one.
Look, I know that Luke, shout out to our friend Luke. Happy holidays, Luke. Hope you're doing well. Luke's having a baby soon. That'll be fun. Eric, you can give Luke some tips on that. So
sure.
Lay out the playbook for him. But Luke loves the old class warfare discussion, right? And this movie is, it's rife with colonialism and the bad guys coming in to take the land from the indigenous people and the resources and so on and so forth. And I like that kind of story. I want to get involved in that type of story, but it wasn't wholly derivative, in my opinion. It was fairly derivative, Travis. I'll say that, but I thought it was. Well, no, maybe it wasn't. You're right. It's a guy who's wrestling with the same old story. It's like, oh, I want to, lead the cause for my country, but now these people over here are actually really good people. Once I get to know them, oh my God, what a shocker! And now I'm caught in the middle. What will I do? The only really difference that makes this less derivative, I suppose, is the fact that he has a possibly unoriginal story here. A guy who's paralyzed gets to go into an avatar where he can be free. So he's torn between that world as well.
And then there's going to be a sequel where his avatar, apparently avatars can produce semen because he's procreating. He's procreating. Whatever. After your Kinsey comment last week, I can say whatever the fuck I want on the podcast. I don't want any fucking clearing of the throats from you, my friend.
I stamp it.
Wait. Let's clarify, though. I don't care about that. He
has children.
He leaves. Like, he leaves the avatar. He's no longer the avatar at the end of the first one. Spoiler alert.
At the end, in the new one, he's nothing but the avatar.
Right, but he gets bonded to it. And like, I don't know how they do it. Remember that tree? The tree of souls, like, allows people to Etwa, or the being who's the deity. She makes things happen. Anyways,
it's a lot fresher for you.
It is. It is very fresh for me. I enjoyed it. It really caught my attention. So I have to say I can't say it was bad. The hubbub. The hubbub makes me wonder, hey, was it just because it was of the moment? That's what I wonder. And I'll never be able to reimagine that. I mean, Eric, you saw it when it came out, didn't you?
How did you feel about the rare element that everyone was trying to get being an unobtainium?
Yes!
Unobtainium.
Writing.
Unobtainium.
Writing for you.
Well, that's a joke, right? I actually dove into this afterwards. I'm like, okay, that's such a dumb name, right?
Yeah.
But it turns out there was unobtainium was some type of thing that was used in engineering and science circles, as well as like something that would never exist. I can't remember exactly what the story was. So he actually borrowed it from the real world as a MacGuffin. Like most people thought of unobtainium as a MacGuffin in the real world.
Like it's like an economic term, like a widget or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, it's just stupid. So he didn't even come up with it. It's not even original, just for the record. So
well, yeah. You would have had a hard time convincing me there was a lot about the movie that was original.
I would say if you never saw Avatar, and you have a high-pitched voice in the moment, check it out.
If you saw Dances with Wolves or Fern Gully, you're good. You can skip it.
Fern Gully. Yeah, there's definitely some Fern Gully up in there. Good call. It's fun. It's fun at times. There's a lot of action scenes. Sigourney Weaver was in it. I had no idea she was going to be in it. That was a real surprise and a pleasant surprise because she was really good in that film. And it was nice to see her in a role like that because I don't get to see Sigourney as much anymore as we used to back in our younger days. So good job, Sigourney.
I'm gonna make a sports reference for you, Mike. I mean, but I feel like Avatar and Jim Cameron like coming in right now with this movie. It's like the Yankees, right? It's like this is like all the money's been dumped into it, the expectations that it's going to do well. I hate hearing I keep on seeing these articles like James Cameron has submitted his his script for Avatar 4 and no notes from the studios, and he's just like doing this victory lap and like bragging like constantly. I'm like, this guy has just like he's got this Elon Musk sized ego about this movie. I'm just like,
there's no notes because the studio's like, we'll read it in 10 years. We have time.
Yeah, let's see how this one does first, James. I don't like this expect. Well, of course it's James Cameron. Don't bet against James Cameron. Like it's gonna be a big hit. Blah blah blah. I'm like, oh man, I don't like the preconceived notion that it's like a guaranteed hit. I'm like, let's let it come out first and see if it's any fucking good. Everyone said, I'm sure a lot of people thought that Black Adam was a guaranteed hit too.
That didn't work out, huh?
Evidently not.
Well, okay. You know what? That's good stuff. You said it quite well. And yes, Jimmy Cameron in this world that he's created now does seem like somebody who could just do whatever the hell he wants whenever he wants. And it kind of does. It takes out of some of the luster for me of what I liked about filmmaking and growing up in movies. But, sometimes you had a bare bones crew, like the Kevin Smith story or the young indie makers of the 90s. And even before then, who were lesser known, they put their time and energy into it. And it might mean a lot to James Cameron, but it is like the Yankees. You're right. It's like the Yankees. They win a World Series. And if you're a fan of the Yankees, you're happy about it because you're a fan. But they did it so easily because they had all these resources already that it was almost a failure to not win it.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yep. That's a good call. That's a great, well done. That's a fine analogy.
I like to take sports and use them as analogies about life because I like sports so much.
I know you do. I mean, you've always been such a fan. You're a passionate sports lover, and just like politicians, you know how to weave a story, my friend. Kudos. Well done. So,
you do it.
Actually, I apologize for saying that. That was really cruel and uncalled for. I should never compare you to any politician. But there's a lot of politicians in Avatar, so if you want to see politicians in Avatar, go ahead. Enjoy that. Either way, it's mildly entertaining film for someone who never saw it before. I caught up on the first few episodes of She-Hulk. I got 3 of them done, and that's interesting. I know why people got online and bitched about it initially. I could see it right off the bat. It was super obvious to me, but that's just hyper-focused negativity that's unnecessary. I like the first 3 episodes, and I'm ready to finish it out. So I'll finish that this weekend. And me and Travis are that's why I want to finish this one up, because it's I have to watch that and the Christmas special and Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So I got to finish those up, and then we can do Phase 4 show.
So you did Werewolf by Night as well then?
Oh, do I have to watch that one?
It's part of Phase 4.
I thought it was just like a one-off, like, hey, here's a tribute to the old werewolf tales of yesteryear.
Oh, so you haven't watched like the Groot shorts or anything then? Everything that came out in the past few years is Phase 4. So I mean, I've watched it.
Okay. I haven't watched the Groot shorts either. I saw them on the screen last night. Those were news to me.
20 minutes of your life, literally.
Oh, okay.
I think 20 minutes. So
I'll do it. I'll watch it. I think Groot's a little overrated. I like him in his dose, but when Groot becomes the center of attention, I become a little less interested. But we'll see.
I'm with you.
Either way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, look, guys. Me and Travis have talked about we want to do Eric loathes Marvel for the most part, and we wanted to do our review, me and Travis, of Phase 4, and we're going to do that real soon. I just got to finish up the Phase 4 stuff, so hopefully I could do that right after the new year, Travis. We could rock a separate show where you and I talk about where we are with Marvel after Phase 4 and almost, good God, 15 years of movies and TV shows and so much universe building that's never been done before.
You've actually given me time to revisit the TV shows. I rewatched WandaVision, I rewatched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I rewatched Loki, I rewatched Hawkeye. I'm rewatching Moon Knight right now.
I would like to do that. I blew by the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I remember liking it. That's a good call. Maybe we got the break coming up here. I'm off school for 2 weeks. It'll be a lot of free time. Great chance to watch a lot of good stuff on our TV screens.
Get sick. That's what I did. I got sick and just
of course
fucking MCU.
Well, I'm not going to watch stuff unless I'm sick. That's how we do it here in 2022. Yeah. That's the way. Okay, that's pretty much it. I think I'll leave it there. There's a lot of fun stuff that I watched, but it doesn't matter. In the end, you watch stuff, you enjoy it, you hate it, and you die.
Oh,
that's
again with
life.
The best? Damn it!
I know, isn't that funny? I just want to double check that I didn't skip anything I wanted to mention. Oh, I did watch. I got Leanne to watch I Heart Huckabees with me for the first time. She's never saw that.
I'm not myself.
Yeah, because I say that so much. She's like, what's the How Am I Not Myself movie? I want to watch it. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's see if you're ready for this. I don't know if she loved it. I don't know if she hated it, but she was mildly entertained. So
that's bizarre. It seems like either one of those, oh God, please make it stop, or oh, I love what's going on right now. Kind of hard to have a middle of a road opinion on that movie.
Well, okay. I actually need to get an update in her final synopsis because when we finished, she said, "Yeah, it was interesting," but maybe she was lying.
Thought about it since she saw it. You know what I mean?
That's probably doubtful. Yeah, although maybe she has. I do think it's a great movie, and I'm glad I got to share with her. It's fun to share movies with people that you spend time with that never saw that movie before. It's a unique experience. That's why we.
Nobody hit play on Amsterdam either. It's been on HBO Max for a couple weeks now.
Oh, that was the choice I made last night, actually. It was either Avatar or Amsterdam. And I'm like, well, Leanne might want to watch Amsterdam with me because there's only certain movies she can watch. She loves scary films, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I decided to watch Avatar instead. But Amsterdam's number one on the list, ready to go. I have access to it, and I will watch it this weekend. Can't wait. All right. There it is. Let's dive into our main focus of the show. It's time to get into Does It Hold Up? Episode 139 of the Cinema Night Podcast with Travis Roy, Eric Brancham, Michael Govier, cinemanightpod@gmail.com. 2008 in Bruges, starring Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, of course. Mm-hmm. And this is Eric's selection. It's a Martin McDonagh film, and apparently it's a Christmas movie. Did you know that? Is that why you chose it for this time? Or?
I knew it took place during Christmas. But yeah, it's not why I chose it.
Well, I remember I saw it.
McDonagh talk going around, circling around, and apparently I'm happy to report for good reason, according to Travis, who I have complete faith in. But yeah, I thought it'd be a good choice. It's not too Christmassy, so we're not getting like a classic that we're all just gonna be like, oh yeah, isn't it awesome? So I don't know. Do you remember the first time you saw it in Bruges?
Yeah, this is in what I call the money train category of Christmas movies.
Oh, Jesus.
I remember. I mean, I just remember it coming out. I didn't see it in theaters, but I remember like there being buzz about it, and I remember this is definitely one that kind of got me thinking differently about Colin Farrell. I had pretty much dismissed him before this movie. I didn't hate him. But I thought he was kind of a pretty face, that didn't really do deep work. Well, what did he do? You're looking around like I'm speaking idiot, like an idiot here. Tell me what he did before this that got your attention, Eric.
Tigerland.
Oh, that one I never saw.
Tiger uppercut.
Tiger knee.
So, having not seen that, I was unimpressed by like the true, the Total Recall remake, for instance.
I saw that in the theater, man, and I was pissed.
So, but yeah, so I remember seeing it, remember liking it, but I had not watched it since.
Yeah, I remember the hubbub about this film. I didn't see it when it came out. I don't have the exact recall of the first time I saw it, but I definitely watched it on DVD one evening somewhere, likely in the United States of America, I would assume.
Maybe Canada.
And maybe I was in Canada. I don't know. But it was around like 2010-ish, and I really enjoyed it. That was my recall. Like, oh, yeah, that movie was funny, and sardonic and a lot of interesting things going on there. So that was my recall of it. And Eric, I assume your first viewing was, wow, impressive.
Yeah, it was, but I dodged it for a long time. I mean, it's 2008. Like, I remember, like, again, like, what is it? Like, Lucky Number 11. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's getting old. The Funny Hitman again? I passed it up because I didn't know Martin McDonough.
That's a good point.
Feature, so I was like, "Come on with these! I've seen all these again. You can do this again. All right, whatever." Yeah, but when I saw it, I loved it. And this was only maybe 5 years ago.
Oh,
you know.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up again because yes, this was after those films, and if you saw it when it came out, it may have looked like a tired setup. I do recall loving it so much that I really got into Martin McDonough, and I was a big fan of Seven Psychopaths, which was the follow-up after that in 2012. So this movie obviously hit me hard enough where I became, I like the director, and I like the style of storytelling. So it definitely had more of an impact than your typical Tuesday night affair. Having said that, what is the score on IMDb, folks? What is it? We always like to guess the score on IMDb. It's a 1 out of 10 rating system for the movie In Bruges. Gentlemen?
I mean, this is a beloved cult film. I'm going to say 7.3.
Oh,
beloved cult.
Yeah, I'm gonna go higher. I think people just cannot deny what we have here. I'm actually gonna go 7.8.
Wow, 7.8. That's hot.
Yeah.
That's hot, Eric. I'm gonna say 7.3. Oh, 7.9. Wow.
7.9. That's very high. Wow.
Yeah, that's
great.
Yeah, that's great territory. Wow, holy shit. Okay. Maybe I was gonna say there could be people in Europe who adore this film. And maybe that's just a local regional thing too, because it's not as popular in the United States as possible. And I can't know that because I live in the United States, so I don't know how popular movies get in other parts of the world when they have to do with other parts of the world. I find that whole world fascinating, but also challenging because I can't really know.
This is definitely one that, like, since it came out, the buzz never went away. I don't hear people constantly talk about it, but when it comes up, it's usually in reverential tones.
Be interested to see when this came out, because 2008 was pretty big, man. Iron Man, Dark Knight. I don't see people like Americans in like Minnesota walking to the theater being like, in Bruges. Let's do that.
21 starring Kevin Spacey came out that year. Maybe people were like, oh, I gotta see that.
I still never saw that, so not everyone.
Yeah, don't worry about it. You could have really bummed yourself out and seen The Boy in the Striped Pajamas that year as well.
Hear bad things. Didn't catch that one either.
Yeah. Well, on Rotten Tomatoes, In Bruges gets 84 from the critics, 84, and then an 87 from the audience, but a very tight agreement between both factions, if you will. And from the critical review, people wrote about this movie in 2008/9, and they had things to say about it, and we always share those with you here on the Cinema Night podcast, such as, hopefully Dustin Thompson will pop in on this one, but I bring you Deborah Ross from The Spectator. Deborah Ross said on August 23rd, so this was after the fact, she reviewed it a few years ago, In Bruges has some cracking lines in it, a cracking performance from Brendan Gleeson as Ken, and some very funny, provocative jokes, but I still don't know, ... It's just all the violence that did me in. Yeah, is there a risk here? Is there danger with this film? It's a violent-ass movie, but it's also, like we said, it's partially a Christmas tale, and as Harry so eloquently states, it's a fairyland. It's a fairy tale land, a fairy tale place. So it's risky if you just go into this thinking, oh, I like these actors and it looks like a beautiful time of year.
Well, there's guns on the cover box. I mean,
oh, is there?
These critics, they get paid to write these reviews, and then they complain about violence, knowing that they're about to see a comedy about Hitman. It's like, what is this?
Yeah, it's a dark comedy. You definitely think there's going to be. I think it's one scene in particular, probably that people struggle with the most. It's hard to see, the image of a child shot in the head. Obviously,
a bullet hole in the head. Yeah, it's pretty graphic.
Pretty graphic scene. So I think that, and also the death scene of of Ken, just like
Oh.
a Tarantino-esque like bucket of blood splashing about. You know. Other than
Ciarán
that-
Hinds plays the priest too. He gets murdered.
Yeah. Kieran Hines just pops in there real quick.
Oh crap, Kieran. I'm sorry, Kieran. See, I made a mistake. It's like Saoirse Ronan. I blew it.
Official? It's Kieran?
Yeah, it's Kieran.
Okay. All right.
My bad. I apologize, Mr. Hines. Other commentaries. How about Bob Mondello? Bob Mondello. What a name. He's got a giant head, too. It's kind of fitting in a way. I don't know why, but it is. Bob Mondello said, it plays really engagingly with the leads doing a wonderful Mutt and Jeff act and the camera lingering lovingly over scenery that looks awfully pretty in the moments before it gets spattered with blood.
Mutt and who?
Accurate. Is that a Dumb and Dumber reference? Jeff and the Mutt Cuts, I assume, maybe? Because it's Mutt. It's capitalized Mutt, so I assume maybe that's what that means?
No. Mutt and Jeff is an old comic strip from the 1930s or something like that.
Oh, my gosh. Oh,
Take
well.
your word for it. Mutt and Jeff.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I did not know that. Let's see, no Goody Kuntz and not seeing Destin Thompson. How about Roger Moore? Not that Roger Moore, but his name's Roger Moore from the Orlando Sentinel. Said this dark comedy shifts effortlessly between silly and sobering, and it finally gives Colin Farrell the chance to be as funny as we've long suspected he could be. This kind of goes to your point you said earlier about Colin Farrell, Travis.
That's not an original statement. I mean, Eric's right that Tigerland is what really got him burst onto the scene, and that's when they threw all these features at him, kind of like Sam Worthington, where they're like, okay, this is the guy. Let's throw movies at him and see what we can make a big movie star out of him. And then it turned out that he's not a big movie star guy. He's more of a Gary Oldman kind of guy. He's more of a despite his like dashing good looks, he's much more of a character actor and much more of a studied actor than he is like, let me lead your blockbuster summer film kind of guy.
Dude, that's it. I was so I don't know if relieved is the right word, but just comforted when he started settling into those.
Yeah.
Like True Detective season 2 gets so much shit, but I think
so good.
Colin Farrell's fucking superb in that. Bullseye, Daredevil, that's another story. But yeah, he's
not a lot of good, nothing good there.
He's fucking fantastic. His comedic timing is right up there with like Stan Laurel in this. Like, I'm watching this, I'm like, this is like if Laurel and Hardy were hitmen in Europe.
That's a good call. Yeah, Travis, you really stated that very, very well done, my friend. Well done. I would like to move on from the reviews, but we got a Bill Goody Coons sighting on this one. So I couldn't let good old Goody Coons,
old Bill,
be skipped over. Oh, Bill. I did look through them all, by the way, and it looks like Destin was busy at that time, as we often find. Destin Thompson, as we always state, you have an open invite to this show at any time you so
and we
choose.
love you.
And we do love you. Yes, we do. Of course we do.
Worship
Bill, yeah, we worship you. Bill Goody Kuntz had this to say on February 15th of 2008. The dialogue is front and center, in spite of the picturesque setting and all the goings-on. And it's the best thing about the film. The dialogue is the best thing about the film.
Yeah, man. I'm watching this and I'm like, I know that Martin McDonagh is an established Irish playwright, but it doesn't have like that Sorkin, Labute, Mamet pentameter going. It translates really well to film.
Oh, yeah.
The interplay.
Yeah. It's not. It doesn't come across like stage dialogue.
Yeah.
Like Kevin Smith movie from the 90s?
That's where I thought he was going with it. But no, he was making that's a better point. That it doesn't come across like script like that. But yeah, I think that the dialogue in this film is believable. You have pretty rich and believable characters. It's a grind at times to like deal with the offensive nature of the shit just like pouring out of Colin Farrell's mouth. But like he's supposed to be a character that's unredeemable, and that's how he's presented to us. And then of course, right about the time you start to think, well, maybe he's not so bad. That's when you learn what he's doing in Bruges. But yeah, the interplay between the two of them is what drives the first half of the film until we really learn the stakes.
That's a great call. Well said. Yeah, the dialogue is outstanding. I got no beast with it. A lot of pacing and patience, too. A lot of beats, especially when Harry and Ken are talking on the phone for the first time in the hotel room. Man, it's so deliberately slow in that part of the film, but it's done well. Harry's a very meticulous, annoying guy.
Yeah. Well, it's not just that. Like, I really love that scene watching it this time because it's not just that Harry's meticulous and like demanding. It's the hoops that that Ken will jump through to please him. You know what I mean? Like, he's so accommodating. Like, he will go through he'll pantomime all this bullshit to just satisfy this guy. So when he tells him later, like, well, fuck you, and your kids are cunts, come kill me if you want to. It's such a reversal from the obsequious nature that we had seen with Ken towards Harry before that.
Well done. Yes, that is really well said. You're right. It is a matter of Ken being the most polite murderer hitman that there ever was. He's British to the T. Yes,
Irish,
super. Oh, he loves his culture for sure.
Yes, very cultural.
Oh, he is Irish. I didn't know if he played. I didn't know if his character was just English or
their
whatever in the movie.
Their characters are Irish hitmen who live in London because Martin McDonagh is an Irishman who grew up in London. So I guess that's kind of where he was coming from on that.
Gosh.
And he came up with the idea
of
this film when he actually visited Bruges. He stayed in Bruges. He stayed in the actual hotel that they stayed in.
Really?
And came up with and he had like these conflicting thoughts in his head, like this place is beautiful, this place is boring, and he kind of went from there.
Been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. By the way, Travis, you deserve full credit. And this just reminded me of it because we're moved on from the reviews, but I just saw Roger Ebert commented on this film, and you did a killer Cinema 9 bingo. It was so funny, man. I loved it. It was really well done. All the beats of our show that we repeat, the Paul Schraders and, Kill Your Own Kind, all the stuff that we've been building in our little world here over the last 3+ years. You nailed it. It's really funny. He posted it on Facebook, so check it out. If you want to play Cinema 9 bingo over the holidays with some friends or family, put us on and have a good time with it. I think it's fun. I thought it was really well done. Roger, Ebes did say this, though, real quick. I want to give Ebes his tribute because he's dead. This film debut by the theater writer and director Martin McDonagh is an endlessly surprising, very dark human comedy with a plot that cannot be foreseen, but only relished. Booyah. There you go.
Booyah.
So a booyah to you all. So I want to talk about what I alluded to a few minutes ago about the combinations of different not narratives, but there's just a lot of elements of multiple different types of storytelling in this film. It's about a guy who made a huge mistake his first time on the job. He hadn't killed anybody. He was a rookie hitman brought in by Ken, which is what we learn along the way about Colin Farrell's character. And unfortunately, when he does his first hit, he kills a child, and it's horrendous. But at the same time, like you said, it's a beautiful little city in Belgium that most people don't know about. It's a hidden gem. And then there's hidden gems of people within that. They got a movie being made within a movie as well. We got a lot of different elements here. And I just want to ask either one of you, does it all work for you in terms of the several elements all coming into this one film?
You're asking me? Or both of us?
Anybody. I don't care. You're right. I did not make it clear.
I can see people criticizing it for these deep emotional themes blending with like racist humor and like really dumb infantile jokes. And yeah, not that they're wrong, but I think it blends them well. I mean, it's a modern take on this whole like morality, Flannery O'Connor type of stuff that we'd already seen. So to kind of liven it up with some more playful antics, I think is the right note.
And I think that it's also driven not just by the dialogue, but by some memorable, fun characters. You have Yuri, the alcove loving arms dealer. You have the one-eyed ex-boyfriend, or the guy who becomes one-eyed. You have like all these kind of different. You have I love what's his name. Ivanek. I can't think of it. The guy that plays the
Zelko?
Canadian that gets
Yeah.
Zelko Ivanek, the guy that plays the angered Canadian. Like he's
Mhm.
I love him. I loved him on Heroes. Remember that show? Anyways, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of like little just all these people popping in and these memorable little moments that I think are nice. I mean, like the co-owner, the pregnant co-owner, she's so strong and vulnerable at the same time for this character, and funny in this character that really only and important for characters that really only in like 4 scenes.
That's true. And Zelko is a favorite of Martin McDonagh. He's been in a bunch of his movies since as well. So they have a bond.
You guys saw the 6-shooter, the Martin McDonagh's Oscar-winning short film.
No, I never
Check it
saw
out
it.
on YouTube, man. It's fucking. I can't remember how long it is, but it's just so like well put together, concise, whatever you want to call it. Like and it's classic Martin McDonagh, like playful irony and like insane situation that's played very straightforward. Check it out, man, because after that Oscar win, they just dumped money on him to make this, and I'm so glad.
He was.
Have you seen a picture of him, by the way?
He's
Martin
really,
McDonagh?
really good looking with terrible teeth. Right?
He's got a.
Damn.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. I was just surprised about how he's got a sharp face. I don't know. It's like he has edges around his face. He's a handsome guy, but he also looks kind of devilish.
Yeah,
he does look like an actor. Yeah. I just thought maybe it's funny the pictures you come up with in your own mind before you know what somebody looks like.
In my mind, he was a very squidgy, like I don't know. I just had him I had like this kind of like I don't know George R.R. Martin looking guy in my head.
Yeah,
like,
nerdy.
Yeah, like fat and hairy. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God, that's so
hairy.
I don't know why I thought that, but that's just the person I had in my mind. And I saw him, and he looks like I don't know. He looks like
Sting.
He kind of looks like a European Stifler in the picture I saw. It was weird.
Looks like a young Terrence Stamp, actually, is what he looks like.
Oh wow. Okay, that's cool. Well, no, I've never seen 6-shooter. You know what? I realize I really do. I love Martin McDonagh films, so I definitely have to watch the Banshees movie. Travis, I'm glad you brought it up on the show. I'm due to watch the Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah, you finally learned that word.
Yeah, I learned it once I watched the movie and they said it a few times. It's Inisherin.
Ooh, okay. Well, Inisherin, thank you for clarifying and helping me grow as a person.
You're welcome.
All right, so the performances, let's talk about Mr. Fiennes, dude. Mr. Fiennes is such a damn good actor, and he's becoming one of my all-time favorites now. The more I start to think about it, I love the Grand Budapest Hotel, and it's really solely because of Ralph Fiennes. And then in this film, it would have been a tragedy. It would have been an absolute Travis Shamockery if we never got to have him on film in this movie. Like, I freaked out the first time I saw it. I'm like, oh, are we not going to get Ralph Fiennes actually in the movie? Is he just going to be on the phone? Because that would really suck. And fortunately, we don't get that. He does come to Bruges. We have the big showdown in the end. But God damn it, he is so electric, so entertaining. He commands me with every movement, every word, every pause. He's so good.
He's incredibly funny in this, but
yes,
and bombastic and electric. But to me, what really stands out is the character writing. Honestly, it's because this movie, in a lot of ways, well, for one, it's an inversion, or rather, Banshees of Inisherin is an inversion of this movie in some ways. But it's also an inversion of like a typical kind of hitman movie, because in a typical movie, his character Harry is the protagonist. He's the one that's going to go kill the child killer. He's gonna stick to his principles. He's a family man. He's like in a lot of ways he's what should be the good guy, but he's the bad guy. But he's not that bad of a guy, because like as awful as he is, like he won't harm. He doesn't want to harm people who didn't do anything. He doesn't want to harm like the pregnant woman. He doesn't want to just start a shootout in the middle and kill a bunch of Belgians, although he does end up doing that, which I'm like, as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, Harry, how do you think you're going to get out of this? You're just running around town shooting at people now.
It's about honor. He's obsessed with honor, apparently.
Yeah, he has an integrity to him that whether you agree with it or not, like, well, it's kind of hard not to agree with like his principles in a way, even though he's the antagonist. So I think it's a really complex character that makes a big impact in large part because of his performance, of course, but great writing.
Be easy to be like, oh, he watched Sexy Beast that morning and then went to the set and was like, I'm just going to do that. But no, it's different. And as funny as he is in this, my God damn it, you're right. Like Grand Budapest is one of my all-time favorite movies, and he's hilarious in that. And yet I didn't think about it one time while watching this. No. And it's two comedic performances. That's a master.
Well said.
That's a master at work. But yeah, the Harry's about principles and that sort of thing. But yeah, there's so much menace. There's like a little bit of slime, but there's all this class too. And like these three actors, these Brendan Gleeson, Colin Farrell, Ralph Fiennes, for this like, well, I guess he's been in the theater for a long time, but one thing Martin McDonagh does, he knows how to fucking work with actors and just make them seem like people you care about. And these hitman comedies, like you're having fun, but do you ever really care that much about the characters? Like, I want to be friends with Ken. I want to like support him at the bar and talk to him, and I want to help Ray. And I'd fill out an application for Harry. How bad can the job be? You get a paid vacation in Bruges. But yeah, man, dude, incredible.
And it's also about the casting, because he had written the script and then found out that he could work with these two guys and went, well, shit, I will rework the characters and make them Irish and all this stuff to make them fit those actors. Because he knew like these are like these, you don't try and find some actor to fit the role. You find, you make the role fit the actor in this case. And I think it worked really, really well. And obviously another key point here to keep on kind of banging on the Banshees of Inisherin, but Gleeson and Farrell became really good friends making this movie, and they've stayed really good friends over the years, and it's palpable. The chemistry between these two men in this movie, like you believe that they go from like hating being stuck with one another to in the matter of a couple of days having like a genuine love for one another, which I think is a hard trick to pull off, and they did a great job with it.
Yeah, Ken's love for Ray, it's not as obvious earlier in the film, but the fact that he even went with him, I guess, says a lot. It's really more about actions, and McDonagh's not going to also tell you beat for beat. He's not going to lay every thought, every emotion that everyone's feeling at all times at your doorstep. You have to follow along, and the dialogue will do the work for you in the end, and it does it in a way that I just really, really appreciate. I guess I am reconsidering my Fiennes love that I thought, I mean, he's a great part of it. Fiennes does so much with the character, but you're right. The dialogue that he's given, the character that he's created, when he rages out and Harry slams the telephone after Ken tells him to get fucked, which is a huge shock to Harry before he comes to Bruges, he busts up the phone, he goes crazy, he doesn't care who's over there in the other room with the kids and yes, exactly. But then there he is 10 minutes later apologizing to his wife. That kind of guy in other movies that line would not exist. That moment wouldn't exist. He's just a badass who's a raged out hardcore gangster who's going to do what he's got to do. Nobody gets in the way. But no, they show the range. They show the full spectrum of human beings. The people are like this. They're complex characters with lots of different emotions and perspectives and feelings throughout the day.
How long were this is Ray's first job, and how long do you think Ken and Ray have known each other?
So in writing my notes for the movie, I made a note like, did Ken get him this job? I think maybe he did, but then like thinking about it after, I'm like, well, that's really not established. The only reason that Ken probably goes with them is because he was with him on the job, and he was probably with him on the job because Harry was like having him do it. So in some ways, I feel like they don't know each other hardly at all.
Yeah.
But Ken says Harry says Ken brought him in. He does say that.
Oh, he says the words? Okay, never mind.
On the phone. Ken's like, you got to kill. Oh, on the phone there, he's like, well, you've got to kill him, Ken, because you brought him in. And if Buck doesn't stop with him, it stops with you.
Oh, and that scene is so brutal. He's like, well, he was a good kid, wasn't he? He's like, when you're like, was.
Yeah, again, not clear. You got to follow along, and McDonough believes in the audience. He may make fun of us at times. I'm sure he does, but
Americans.
He writes it away.
He makes fun of Americans.
Yes, yeah, chubby, out of shape Americans who are climbing up the bell tower who actually ended up having a heart attack. So in a way, he was trying to help the guy out. I don't know.
Americans
But
are elephants.
Americans
Never
elephants,
mind.
yeah,
Never
that's
mind that
great.
we're like the only country that has preservatives in every little fucking piece of food that we put in our bodies. But whatever, we're all elephants.
Oh my God, that's well said, my friend. That's well said. You've got negatives about the characters that are annoying to me. It's like you alluded to briefly, Travis. Ray is so annoying. I felt bad for him, but I actually almost stopped feeling bad for him after a while because he's bitching about
Constantly.
everything all the time.
And while he's suicidal about what he's done, there are also times where I'm like, do you have any thought of what you've just done? Because like you're sitting there complaining about how you're bored and how you want to get laid and you want to do drugs. And it's like, dude, you're a child killer.
Well,
Which
I mean,
he starts to express a lot more later in the movie. But early on, yeah.
I can, luckily at this stage of my life, I can watch a movie like this and see that Ray is masking a lot of his shame and grief over the incident with this humor. By saying he's bored by Bruges, like you got to think about it. The child murder took place in this church, and now he's stuck in a town that looks like a gigantic church. Now that's just a constant reminder of what he did. And basically what he's doing is he's just masking his shame with this bullshit. It's just an act. It's just somebody who doesn't know what to do with their emotions.
I think that you're right to a degree that he's like masking how he's really feeling in a lot of ways, but he truly hates Bruges. He does not find any cultural relevance or importance in it. To him, Bruges is like literally purgatory, because for him, a good time is getting fucked up and hitting on women. So I mean, I mean, like I think it can be both. He's not the most deep of dudes, but yeah, I do believe he does feel bad about it. I mean, he does he does try to kill himself, and even before that, there's like fairly subtle references. Like it's not going to go away unless I go away, that kind of stuff.
Yes, there is a theme in this movie though about consequences for actions because Ken tries to get Ray out of there and go away, but then Ray's rage, his temper, falsely accusing a Canadian of being an American, ends up biting him in the ass because he gets brought back on the train for beating up on Zelko, which he didn't have to do, but he did. He's pure rage at times, and McDonough, through all of his clever and witty banter and the dialogue, he's telling like a moral tale here. This is this is the moral of the story in the end for everybody, including Harry, who follows through and kills himself in the end because he thought he murdered a child. But, oh, no, that was just it was a dwarf wearing a child's school outfit, I guess is
like
how the best way to describe it. Yeah, very Gryffindor-esque costume that he's wearing.
Yeah.
And so, yes, you are going to be responsible for what you do. Maybe not right away, but eventually every action will have an outcome. It went with the other guy too when he beat up the skinhead who did attack him initially, which is not his fault, but that also burns him because it reminds Harry who lets Ken off. Harry had let Ken off, mind you. Remember in the bell tower, he's not going to, I can't fucking kill you now after you said that shit, which is hilarious.
Yeah, it's very funny.
But Ray's actions again burn him because that dude runs up to the bell tower and tells Harry what the hell's going on.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, speaking of the bell tower, how do we feel about Ken's sacrifice? I love it's very powerful, dropping the coins first and then throwing himself off. But like he throws himself off, the gun he has on him breaks, so he's unable to give that to Ray, and Ray is so distraught that he's basically just standing there when Harry shows up. And so in a lot of ways, it's this gesture that isn't necessary. Does he succeed in warning him and changing things? Like I don't think he does. It's really graphic and it's really powerful, and it's like, wow, that didn't need to happen at all.
I like that it happens that way.
No,
I
know. I agree.
Well, no, not that part. I mean, first off, I like the blood because guy throws himself off a roof. Okay, it's not going to be a clean scene, but the point about giving himself up is not a good move. You're right. I think it's a lame decision on his part. which probably had to do with other things from the past that maybe just built up in Ken's mind, where he couldn't take it anymore. He says that out loud to Harry at the bell tower. He's like, I've done so many things and I'm due, I accept that this is my judgment. He was ready to die at the hand of Harry with the gun to the head. So that makes sense that he would do it, but I still feel like he's unnecessarily a martyr for a cause that doesn't really exist.
Did he try yelling, "Ray, look out, Harry's coming" from the top? With the beautiful scene of the speech between the two, when Ken suggests that the best way to save his own life is to save another life. I think Ken's journey is his own redemption. He alludes to his wife being killed and then having Harry kill the man that killed his wife. Not a completely unjust act, but he is responsible for so much murder that I think he knows that in this purgatory in Bruges, that he's come to the crossroads and he has to give something, and he's already dedicated himself to saving Ray no matter what the cost. He can't back out of it. That's his mission now, and I think that's all he knows he can do to make a huge impact. I don't know
why.
Well, what else is he going to do? Like, if he can't yell, if he can't just start shooting to get the attention, maybe he just has to cause that big of a scene to get people moving, so he sees that something's going on, so he can assume that the shit's about to hit the fan and Harry's there. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's not clear that he's dying. I mean, he's nicked in the neck, and it could be the jugular, but it could not be. I mean, if he's able to haul his body up those stairs, chances are, if it was the jugular, you wouldn't have made it to the top.
And he was already shot in the foot too.
Right. So I think he actually would have survived the gunshots, but it's interesting though, because I mean, ultimately both of these hitmen are suicidal, trying to save the other. It's such a unconventional way of making the film, because in a normal quote unquote movie, like, he would have landed on his back and then Ray would have had access to the gun, or it would have somehow like saved Ray, but it doesn't. And that's a choice. I mean, that's a hell of a choice.
Well, McDonough's trying to put as many people as possible in life-altering decisions, I guess. Even the more minor characters, like the woman who owns the hotel that Ray and Ken stay at. She's very much... First off, I love the note that she makes when Harry calls and she leaves a message with her. Yeah. I'm not the secretary, I'm the owner. Yeah. That's funny. It's a little bit that makes me laugh. And then it comes back to that hotel where she's in between Ray and Harry for this final shootout. She will not budge. I'm putting all this together now, Travis, as you expressed this to me about Ken doing what he did. I would also say, why is this hotel owner so desperate? She's got a child in her. She's pregnant. Why is she so desperate to spare this man or try to save this guy either? I don't know if that would really check. I think the hotel owner would run and be like, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. What the hell am I caring about this gangster's struggle?
I'm inclined to agree with you, but I do think it makes for a really great moment where you see the growth of Ray, because Ray actually does have a pretty good shot on Harry past her. But if she just moves a little bit to her left, he'll shoot her in the head and kill her. So he doesn't take the shot, which I think that Ray, before coming to Bruges or before killing the boy, he would have taken the shot.
Yeah, you're right. He said, I don't want to have another kid dead. Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty late in the day, and I've had a lot of caffeine, and I'm sick. But the Christmas story itself, if we're to look at all into why he chose this season, you've got the three wise men. You could see our central characters as being as such. They go to an inn when or even before Jesus was born. You have this woman with child who is there as kind of a protector or a savior, and maybe we got some sort of illusion there that could have been worked with a little bit more. I would have liked to have seen more from whoever played that innkeeper. But yeah, it's enough for me. I think the only issue I have with this whole movie is that it does kind of get pretty tidy towards the end. Like, I get so enraptured with the characters and the situation, and it does kind of seem like it turns into kind of a silly action movie in those past 20 minutes with a lot of like contrivances and like playful, clever ways to end everything. I don't know, but maybe that's just me.
No, the contrivance.
No, I think you're right.
I think you're right too, because the contrivance that stuck out to me that really bothered me actually watching it this time was like, I'm watching the movie. Ray's put on this train. The train leaves. The Canadian and the cop come and get Ray arrested, so they go back to Bruges. How the hell does Harry beat Ray to Bruges from London? Like he gets to there. I'm like, that doesn't make a lick of sense. It's just, I mean, it was very much a Game of Thrones kind of leap of geography.
Hey!
I'm just like, why? Because and they didn't even necessarily have to do it that way. They could have still had Ray beat him there, and it wouldn't have made a big difference. But like, okay, so that was a little too neat, and it didn't necessarily make sense.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It is too tight. It sucks. It's messy though too. I mean, Harry kills himself, and Ray's laying there dying,
and Ken kills
there's
himself.
Been another murder
For no reason.
And Ken, right. And the dwarf actor is dead. I mean, it's pretty.
The
dum dums, but
the dum dums come full. The dim dims they come full circle. That is. I mean, everything that's introduced, like Chekhov's gun, gets used in every scene. I mean, like it all pays off, which is pretty tight.
That's true. So you're right. It is tidy in terms of the wrapping of it all up. It's a messy ending with violence, but I understand what you're saying there, Eric. If Harry had just gotten away with it all and strolled on home, would that make any difference to me for the closure of this film? I'm not sure it would. I think the heart of the film and why I like it more than I'd hate it, if that's the case, is little to do with the ending.
Well, what sticks out to me is not just that Harry killed himself and he's like, gotta stick to your principles and all that. It's the fact that he is at that point shot Ray 3 times, and he's just killed Jimmy, the actor. And Ray is trying to tell him, don't kill yourself. That wasn't really a young boy. You're fine. Go ahead and just kill me. Which I think is a big moment there too, that is easy to gloss past. Yeah. But it's actually like, again, like Ray has gone from being a figure of death to, I think, a figure of life.
Yeah. It's almost like McDonough went for the easy joke instead of something a little bit more interesting, which could be a conversation between those two about how you should spare yourself and look past your own principles and something like that. Just very easy.
I don't know that the movie winding up on a conversation at that point would have really made sense. All the actors and everybody running around and like the blood. I don't know. I don't know how that would have played out on film. I think it's more satisfying with the sharp crack of a gunshot myself. But
is there, by the way, is the innkeeper the only good person in this entire film? I mean, because even Jimmy, the actor, he's racist.
Yeah.
Against other black dwarves, he says.
That was the cocaine.
Oh, right.
Didn't you know that cocaine makes you racist?
I didn't know that, but now I do. Shit. See, if I'd known that prior, it would have made a lot more sense to me.
No, you're right. There's not a lot of redemptive characters in this movie. I mean, the fat Americans aren't that bad, actually, other than being fat. At least the women folk. Let's see. Obviously, the woman, the innkeeper, like you say.
Yeah. The drug dealer, Farrell's kind of girlfriend, sort of.
She sucks.
Yeah.
The cunt kids suck.
Well, if we're to look into the symbolism of the Hieronymus Bosch painting, The Last Judgment, that they're staring at, I mean, it is nothing but a inner sanctum of ill redemptive people in need of some redemption. So aside from the innkeeper, you have that.
Yeah.
I know this will never happen. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead and finish your thought. What would never happen?
I know this will never happen, but I would die for a prequel with Harry and Ken, like a movie about those two exclusively. But it would have to be played by I would love to see Gleason and Fiennes just in a movie together with the dialogue. It would be highlight of my year. I would love to see that type of film.
The animated film, I guess.
Yeah.
Is Ken the hitman you want to hug or what?
Oh yeah, I mean, I want to sit down, and have tea with him, and discuss history and like architecture.
I want to sightsee. I want to get the programs and look at every tiny little thing in town.
Did you notice all the "Don't Look Now" kind of stuff going on with the movie? Interesting.
Yeah.
No, what do you mean? Clarify that.
The film Don't Look Now, it's very much a filmmaker's film. It's like I don't love it personally. I thought it was good, but there's definitely a generation of filmmakers that are like obsessed with this Nicholas Roeg movie, and it takes place in, I think it takes place in, I want to say Vienna, but it's still very much like all of these alcoves and corners, and there's a dwarf, and I want to say there's a film being shot in that movie too. I want to say, but lots of surreality kind of stuff. Just not like not overt references to the movie itself, just kind of like these kind of parallels, I guess.
Doesn't our girl say that they're remaking it?
Is that the film they're the movie they're remaking? I didn't even notice that. That's so funny. No, I didn't even catch that.
Dude, where's the dwarf talk? We didn't talk David Rappaport,
Time Bandits.
Melendez.
Yep. There's references to Kenny Baker, right?
Yeah. Ray is so obsessed with this, and obviously he's trying to probably distract himself from the terrible event that has occurred prior. But yeah, he's really hung up on it. And like, also could have been some type of obsession he had that was just kind of kicked off by the fact that he met somebody who might be going through that experience. But I will say, if it's supposed to be funny, it's not really funny at all. It's just Ray being annoying. Yeah. But I actually think it shows that he cares, because he seems actually more than just an obsession with dwarves in film. He seems to feel really bad for them, because he expresses a lot of things about it's such a painful life, and you're constantly stared at or judged or mocked at times, and it does reveal a hint of empathy from Ray. I saw it that way, not just being annoying, not just being.
But then Jimmy's like, that's the most fucked up shit you could say to me, like that my whole existence should make me want to kill myself. That's way more. I think Ray is projecting his own suicidal thoughts onto those around him, and like finding ways to get there.
Yeah, but that was different times. There were different conversations. When he said that in the Coke night, that was totally ridiculous, and it was out of the blue too. I suppose I should clarify by saying earlier in the film, when he's just kind of talking about it outside, it's much more empathetic. That one is a drug-fueled, just, dude, what are you doing? You're a fucking dick. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think it's possible, and I could probably make a case for Ray projecting that kind of guilt I was talking about on little people in general, because of the grief he has over taking the life of someone that was small.
Dude, how about that note that little boy has, the things that he's sorry for? Sad. One of them is for being sad. I'm like, sad. Buddy, that's not a sin. Oh, it's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. And I guess that's one of the things about, so I have always had a deep appreciation for any piece of art that can straddle the line of like hilarious, offensive vulgarity and profound comments on life and that kind of stuff. And I think this movie does that. It kind of has a foot in both those worlds, and being silly and, the sacred and the profane, I guess.
That's fair. Wow, we've talked a lot. Any final notes? Anything we didn't cover, boys, before we close this puppy down?
Alcoves.
Alcoves, dude.
I think I've said everything I want to say.
Watch Calvary as soon as possible. It's Brendan Gleeson's greatest performance. It's one
when he plays the priest.
The 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Also, The General from 1998, the John Borman movie. It's a good movie. Oh, you know what I did want to mention? I think the funniest moment in the whole movie to me is where where Ray is like standing, like he just like had stolen all those drugs, and he's standing over the dwarf and his prostitute, and he's like, "You guys are weird. You want to do some cocaine?" And then Brendan Gleeson comes back in, and it's just like all eyeballs, just like staring at him. I was like, that's the funniest moment of the movie. It's not even really like a joke. It's just like the look on their face and like the situation that they both just put a gram of cocaine into their bodies.
So well done. Yes, I love that. This is actually an underrated drug film. It really is. It's not the whole movie, but there's a nice bit there in the middle to early middle part where they're on drugs and you're having drug conversations. It's well done. I'm glad you brought that up, because I laughed out loud when I saw that face of Gleason's with his ears. Yeah. It's so funny.
I'm ready to wrap it up.
Yeah. All right, what do you think, Eric?
Yeah, I haven't gone first in a while. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, man. It just kind of it flows right by. I think it's just under 2 hours, but it's cut very effortlessly. I think that's one of the words I wrote down. Martin McDonagh makes it very seemingly effortless. It's just a very clean film in its editing and in its storytelling. There's not very big pronounced arcs. Everything just kind of flows really smoothly and naturally. It's gorgeous cinematography, man. Some of the most beautiful snow you'll ever see in a movie. Performances are off the charts, and I joke around and say that this is like 2000s gangster movie, gun shy and Lucky Number 11, but this is like premium subgenre in that respect. I don't think it's like the defining crown jewel of hitman comedy for the 2000s, but it's definitely up there because it's so intelligent and as a morality play, and an exercise in Catholic guilt or just a human frailty and grief. Beautiful movie, man. Martin McDonagh is a masterclass filmmaker, and really enjoyed watching it this time. Laughed out loud several times, and I love the movie. It holds up completely for me.
All right.
Great job.
For me, I would say, yeah, this one holds up. I had a feeling it would hold up before I sat down and watched it, even though I'd only seen it the one time, but it left a pretty big impact on me. And while there were definitely things I had forgotten, like I've forgotten the whole reason they were in Bruges. I'm like, oh shit, that's dark. But yeah, the movie, like I said, it rides that rail. It really does a few things at once. Even as it's a pretty simple buddy movie at the same time. It's a fun movie. It's a good cult movie. There's not a lot of movies set in Belgium, so that's cool. Supposedly made that town like $8 million in tourist funds profit.
Hey!
Good on them for that. Yeah, definitely holds up for me.
We didn't even mention Carter Burwell's beautiful piano playing.
That electric guitar, though, man. Every time the electric guitar kicks in, I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Turn off the what is it? The Mannheim Steam Orchestra?
Mannheim Steamroller? Yeah.
Mannheim Steamroller.
So dumb.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Oh,
that's what I was trying to say. Because that's what it fucking sounds like. I mean, with that, I mean, every time I hear an electric guitar in an orchestra, I'm like, get that thing out of there.
Electric guitars playing Christmas music is fucking stupid. How do people like that?
Come on, man. Gary Hoey. He makes a lot of money doing that. Good for you, Gary.
Right.
Because people love
Gary,
it.
retire.
Never give up the dream.
You were saying Carter Burwell.
Sorry.
Carter Burwell. No, it's okay. He's really, really a personal favorite of mine. I mean, I think Raising Arizona, when I think of him, probably. That's what I probably think of him the most, but he's not one that we've talked a lot about on the show, so it just popped in my head, and it is a very clear score in that, this is a Christmas movie, this could be fun. That piano will take you immediately to where you're probably going, so it doesn't really pull any punches or kind of mysteriously reveal itself. It's part of a film that is all kind of over the place in terms of if you look at it from a critical eye with as genre movies and the type of tropes and subtypes of film that you might find across the landscape of the critical world of movie analysis, but it doesn't matter because the dialogue is so damn good, it's so well written, so well directed, and the actors are all outstanding actors, even from the tiniest characters in this film.
Is that a pun?
I didn't mean to. I do think this movie holds up. It's a lot of fun. It's also very sad. It's poignant. There's a lot of reasons to like In Bruges. Not a Christmas movie for you and the family, but if you put the kids to bed and you and your significant other want to throw on a Christmas movie, throw on In Bruges. Why not?
Okay.
All right.
Good call, Eric.
In Bruges.
Fine choice.
Which means that our next person in the hopper is our very own Mike Govier.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's the holiday season, folks, and Hanukkah starts Sunday, and unfortunately, Travis shit all over 8 Crazy Nights earlier in the broadcast.
It shits all over itself.
Not a lot of Hanukkah movies I could really think of, so I'm not going to go in that direction. And, it's Christmas. I really didn't know if I should do this or not, but it's been a while, and you guys are going to be you're going to have an immediate reaction to this. Okay. I'm not sure what it'll be, but I want to do it because it's been 10 years, and I want to go back and revisit and find out if, is this movie everything I thought it was 10 years ago?
Does it hold up?
Does it hold up or not? That's the main focus of this show. I think it might, but just to be clear and to say we did it on the show, it's time to do 2012's Silver Linings Playbook. There it is. Booyah.
There it is. Wow, isn't this one of your favorite movies of all time?
It has been in the past. Yeah, I haven't watched it religiously like I did. I watched it one time recently over the last 6 months, and so
I've only watched it once in the past 6 months, so I haven't really watched it.
Yeah. But actually, before that, it'd been a few years because I did burn myself out on it quite quickly there, and it does have. It's known for other things, but it does finish out in a Christmas atmosphere at the end of the year. So, borderline Christmas movie, maybe not. We'll find out. Silver Linings Playbook next week.
Cool. It's been 10 years. I'm ready for a fresh look.
Yeah, 10 years later. I like to do anniversaries like that, get it on the record, because it literally was December 2012. I think this movie came out.
I actually remember seeing this one in theaters for once, too.
Hey, me too. Yeah, I saw it at the, what do they call that thing? The Maple in Birmingham? That little tiny theater there. You guys are probably... It's off Woodward there in Birmingham. It's a tiny one. It's a very nice little theater. A little bougie, but...
Believe you.
No worse for the wear. Okay, there it is. Cinema 9 Podcasts. cinema9pod@gmail.com. Send us an email about anything you heard today. We hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season. We'll be back next week with Silver Linings Playbook. He's Travis Roy. He's Eric Brancham. I'm Michael Govier. We love doing the show, and we hope you enjoyed us doing it.
Little fucking cunt.